Alors, bonjour classe, voilà l'échauffement pour aujourd'hui. La question c'est qu'est-ce que tu trouves, what do you find, sous l'Arc de Triomphe à Paris? Et la réponse c'est le tombeau du soldat inconnu. That's the tomb of the unknown soldier. So beneath the Arc de Triomphe, which is the Arc of the Triumph, which here are some pictures of it, is the tomb of the unknown soldier. This is a Paris landmark that Napoleon had constructed in order for his army to march under it when they won the war. So around the Arc de Triomphe is this huge roundabout. It's one of the most dangerous roundabouts in the world. People drive like maniacs around it. It's pretty crazy. So this week we're going to learn about some Paris monuments because our next project is going to be all about Paris and visiting different monuments. So we're going to get a little preview of some of those places to see in Paris. Alors, aujourd'hui, on va parler de leçon 16b, les adjectifs possessifs, mon, ton, son, et leçon 16c, les adjectifs possessifs notre, votre and leur. Tournez à la page 230. 230 in your leçon 16. So your lesson 16 handout, please turn to page 230. You're going to be filling in as we go. All right, we're talking about possession, possession, which we saw a little bit on Friday of last week. So how do we demonstrate possession in English? Talked about this last week. We can either use a verb to have or to own. We can use apostrophe s. We have possessive adjectives like my, your, his, her, its, our, and their. Or possessive pronouns mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, and theirs. So les adjectifs possessifs that we're going to talk about today, for instance, we're going to use in things such as this is my picture. Sam is enjoying his ice drop. Its mouth is very big. These are your shoes. They are listening to their teacher. So your subject pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we, they. Possessive adjectives are my, your, his, her, its, our, and their. So in French, each possessive adjective has different forms depending on what you're describing. So here are your possessive adjectives, and this actually goes on both pages, page 230 and the next page, which doesn't have a page number. We'll call it page 231. So the masculine form for my is mon. The feminine form for my is ma, and the plural is mes. We've seen this with mon père, ma mère, and maybe you have a couple of sisters or a couple of brothers. Mes sœurs, mes frères. You could even say my parents, mes parents. For your, the informal and the singular, you would say ton for ton père, ta mère, tes parents. His, her, and its, son, sa, ses. So son père, sa mère, ses parents. And now we're flipping over to page 231 to say our, your, and their. To say our, it's just notre, notre, and nos. So if you have a brother and sister and you're talking about our parents, you would say notre père, notre mère, or nos parents. And to say your, this is the formal or the plural way. So if you're talking about talking to the president and you're saying your father, votre père, votre mère, or vos parents. And their, leur, and leur. Okay. So as you see on page 231, where it's notre, votre, and leur, you only have 2 blanks for each of those. That's because votre is the same for both masculine and feminine. That's just the singular way to say our and your and their. Yes, you're right. Yeah, our and your. Okay, so one more time. In French, each possessive adjective has different forms depending on what you're describing. It depends on what you're talking about, what or who. Okay, it has nothing to do with you personally. So to say my, we would say mon frère s'appelle François. Ma mère s'appelle Diane. Mes cousins s'appellent Antoine et David. To say your, ton oncle s'appelle Richard. Ta tante s'appelle Marie. Tes amis s'appellent Laure et Marc. So as you see, it has to do with the person you're talking about. So oncle is a male, so we're going to use ton. Tante is a female, so we're going to use ta. That's the feminine way to say your. Whoop, sorry. Voilà Frédéric or Sophie. Son vélo is his or her bike. Because bike is masculine, it's going to be son. So in French, the words his, her, and its are all represented by the same word, son, sa, and c'est. Notre, for une amie, for these, the possessive adjectives ma, ta, and sa change to mon, ton, and son before a vowel sound. So mon ami, ton affiche, and son orange. Let's do a writing practice. You're going to say whom each person is inviting to the school party using the appropriate possessive adjectives. For example, par exemple, we have Michel and la copine. So we're going to write Michel invite sa copine. So do 1 through 8, please, filling in or writing out, inviting his or her cousin, sister, brothers, friend Sophie, cousins, friend Marc, friend Cécile, and friend Thérèse or Teresa. You can pause the video here. Okay, a second writing practice. You're going to, it says here, we often do things with our family. Complete each sentence with a possessive adjective. Son, sa, ses, leur, or leur. Par exemple, you see Pascal joue au tennis avec sa cousine. And you see Eric et Paul jouent aux cartes avec leur cousin. So depending on who you're talking about here, you're talking about his cousin or their cousins. Okay, so numéro 1, Frédéric dîne chez something oncle. How would you say Frederick dines at his uncle's house or at the house of his uncle? So go ahead and write out 1 through 8, with which possessive adjective you would use. You can pause the video here. Okay, that is possessive adjectives. We are going to continue on page 231, which is the page without the number, on to D here in lesson 16, to ordinal numbers, les nombres ordinaux. So ordinal numbers mean when you say something like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th, right? It's the placement. First place, second place, third place, first period, second period, third period. It's in an order. So here's our numbers again to review. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so let's go on to ordinal numbers here. So to make an ordinal number, we simply add IM, the letters I, E, M, E with an accent grave over it, to the end of a number. So for instance, we have the number 2. To say second, we say deuxième. The number 3, to say third, we say troisième. If there is an E, we're going to take off that final E. So for instance, with quatre, which usually has an E on it, we would make it quatrième to say fourth. Same thing with onze. Onze usually has an E on the end, that's 11. To say 11th, we'd say onzième. There are 3 exceptions to this rule. Of course, as in French, there's always exceptions to the rule. The first one being premier and première. We don't say un with the iem. That would sound very strange. Unième, unième, that'd be very strange. So premier, première is first, and one is masculine, one is feminine. Cinquième adds a U. Neuvième, instead of neuf, it usually has an F, it changes to a V. Neuvième. So placement of ordinal numbers, they go before the noun. So for instance, you would say, Je suis la première personne ici. I'm the first person here. Here's some abbreviations. For première, you write the number 1 with ER for something masculine, or the number 1 with E accent grave RE for something feminine. So premier or première. Deuxième, or you can just write 2 with an E for deuxième. And you can see here the different abbreviations, how they're abbreviated on these signs. Okay, at the bottom of that page, that same page, you have une expression pour la conversation, and that is tu es sûr, and you need to fill that in. There's no blank line there actually, but you do need to fill that in. There's a little question mark there. So go ahead and write in tu es sûr, and you would add the E if you're talking to a female. And that means, are you sure? So you see on your sheet this image here, and the 2 people on the right hand side are talking. This guy says, c'est mon pantalon. These are my pants. And the girl says, tu es sûr? Are you sure? All right, for the rest of class, please work on the devoir, page 83, activité 2 et 3. Et page 141, activité B3 et BC4. Okay, and you should have completed a couple other activities from the previous video. So if you did not have a chance to watch that video from Friday, please go back to the YouTube channel and watch that video for lesson 16A. Merci, bon lundi, have a good Monday. I will see you tomorrow. À demain.